Nobody is coming to save you. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when the stars align and life finally feels easy. The only rescue you will ever know is the one you build with your own two hands. That is the truth most people spend their lives running from, yet it follows them everywhere. The turning point in any life arrives the moment you stop scattering your energy outward and start directing it inward. You have spent years waiting for permission, for support, for someone to validate your dream, for the applause that tells you it is safe to move. That wait has cost you more than you realize. Because each day you delay, each day you hand over control of your destiny to the shifting winds of approval, you build chains around your own spirit. Invisible chains. Chains that grow heavier over time until you silence yourself before anyone else even has the chance to doubt you. The Stoics understood this with clarity. Freedom, growth, strength, they do not arrive as gifts. They are born the moment you take ownership of your own path. They are carved out of discipline, sharpened in solitude, and proven in the fire of resistance. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, and say, and think. Time is not infinite. To wait for the perfect moment is to waste the very thing you cannot replace. Think of how many nights you have felt the restlessness of wasted time. It creeps in quietly, like a whisper in the dark. You lie awake knowing that another day has slipped away with nothing meaningful pushed forward. Your dreams do not die in an instant. They fade slowly under the weight of excuses, comparisons, and distractions. Epictetus warned, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. But most of us never pass that first threshold. We say nothing, so we do nothing, and life drifts by. The problem is never ignorance. You already know what matters. You know you should rise early, protect your focus, move your body, sharpen your mind, discipline your habits. What stops you is not knowledge, but urgency. You wait as if life will pause until you are ready. It will not. The only thing guaranteed is that hesitation compounds into regret. Every day of delay is a day lost forever. And yet we lie to ourselves. We whisper that tomorrow will be different, that somehow, without changing anything, the right opportunity will fall into our hands. But history, philosophy, and your own experience agree that day never comes. Jung wrote, "The greatest and most important problems of life are fundamentally insoluble. They cannot be solved but only outgrown. And so, with failure, it is not overcome by avoidance, but by growth." Failure is not a wall, it is a teacher. The danger is not falling short, the danger is never beginning at all. Fear fuels hesitation, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment. But each time you let fear decide, you cast a vote for weakness. You reinforce the identity of someone who hesitates. That identity hardens until you no longer believe your own promises. You stop trusting yourself. That is the quiet death of potential. The antidote is not waiting for courage to appear. Courage is born in action, not in thought. It is the decision to move with fear still clinging to you. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Wasted time is theft. It steals the future you could have built and replaces it with a hollow life of distractions and excuses." But imagine, just for a moment, what would happen if you reclaimed even half of that energy? Imagine replacing comparison with action, distraction with discipline. Each hour invested compounds into strength, clarity, and character. Aristotle said it best, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Habits are compounding machines. Every choice adds weight to the identity you are building. Every page read, every workout completed, every hour of focus guarded is a brick in the fortress of self-mastery. And every excuse, every scroll, every moment wasted on shallow noise is a crack in the foundation. The world pulls at your attention with endless urgency, but your mind is sacred. Plato wrote, "The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. If you cannot rule your own attention, someone else will." This is where the shift begins. You must decide to stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand your vision. You must stop diluting your goals just to fit into someone else's limited imagination. You must stop scattering your energy across the noise and bring it back to the work of building yourself. Because when you do, something remarkable happens. You free yourself from the endless cycle of living for others. You begin to hear your own voice again. You remember what you truly want, unshaped by outside approval. That clarity is priceless, Socrates declared. The unexamined life is not worth living, and the life worth living begins the moment you examine where your energy is going. Most of it, if you are honest, is wasted on noise. But the discipline of silence, the choice to guard your mind, opens space for something stronger. It is in that silence that you discover your path again. It is in that silence that you build the strength to walk it, even if you must walk it alone. So, here is the truth. Nobody is coming to hand you the life you want. Nobody is coming to give you permission to live differently. If you do not decide to build yourself, nobody will. The comfort of waiting is a lie. The cost of waiting is your future. The only moment that matters is this one. The only person responsible is staring back at you in the mirror. The harshest truth is also the most liberating. The life you dream of is already in your hands if you dare to commit to yourself, if you dare to begin. Every time you choose acceptance over authenticity, you trade a piece of your soul for comfort. Approval feels harmless at first, a nod, a pat on the back, a sense of belonging, but comfort never lasts. People's opinions shift like sand. One day they praise you, the next they criticize you. Anchor your dreams in their approval, and you will spend your life building on unstable ground. Think about how many steps you have not taken because of what others might say. How many ideas silenced before they left your lips. How many times you bent your vision just to be accepted. Those invisible chains bind your spirit tighter than steel, because you internalize them. Eventually, you become your own jailer. You no longer need their disapproval. You supply it yourself. That is the tragedy of living for approval. It never ends. There will always be someone who doubts you. And if your worth is built on their acceptance, you will chase a finish line that does not exist. Worse, your dreams lose their fire. What once burned with passion becomes dull when reshaped to meet the expectations of others. Victories feel hollow when they are not truly yours. Acceptance built on a lie always feels empty. Plato warned, opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance. Why would you stake your future on something so unstable as opinion? To reclaim your life, you must recognize approval, seeking for what it is, fear. Fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of standing alone. But solitude is not emptiness. Solitude is clarity. In solitude, you remember your own voice. In solitude, you rediscover what you truly want, unshaped by outside noise. This is why every philosopher from Socrates to Seneca retreated inward, because until you know your own voice, you cannot build a life that is truly yours. Your vision was not meant to be understood by everyone. It was given to you, not them. The fire that keeps whispering in your heart at night does not require their recognition to be real. Carl Jung wrote, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. That is the task. To look inward and remain loyal to what you know deep down is yours to build, even if no one claps, even if everyone doubts. Understand this. People can only see through the lens of their own limitations. Their doubts are reflections of their own fears, not of your potential. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject. Just because many people doubt does not make it untrue. What destroys a vision is not their disbelief. It is your surrender to it. This is why you must hold fast when others cannot see what you see. Every person who ever changed the world was called foolish before they were called visionary. If they had abandoned their path for acceptance, the world would be emptier. And if you abandon yours, your world will be emptier. The danger is not that others cannot see it. The danger is when you stop seeing it because they could not. The comfort of acceptance is a lie. Comfort whispers that you are safe, that you are enough, as you are, that you can rest now, but comfort left unchecked becomes a cage. Each small retreat makes the next retreat easier. Each surrender compounds until comfort is not a momentary relief. It is your lifestyle. You wake up one day realizing your courage, your energy, your ambition were all traded for the shallow peace of fitting in. And nothing corrodes self-respect faster than betraying your own vision. The truth is simple. Purpose will always demand more of you than you think you can give, but it will also return more than you thought possible. Comfort offers ease, but delivers regret. Purpose demands sacrifice, but delivers strength. Comfort erodes trust in yourself. Purpose builds it brick by brick. Each time you resist comfort, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. Each time you push one step further, when quitting was easier, you cast a vote for resilience. Those votes accumulate until one day you carry an unshakable identity, someone who does not quit, someone who does not betray themselves for applause. So stop chasing the shallow rewards of comfort and approval. They are prisons disguised as prizes. The real reward is authenticity. The real strength is built in the moments when you walk alone with your vision and refuse to shrink it for anyone. The world may not understand today. It may not applaud tomorrow. But in the silence of persistence, you are building something greater than acceptance. You are building yourself, and that in the end is the only approval that ever mattered. Distraction does not announce itself with noise. It creeps in quietly, disguised as harmless entertainment, as endless scrolling, as one more glance at someone else's life. But make no mistake, distraction is theft. It steals your future piece by piece until one day you wake up to a life you did not choose, built brick by habits you never meant to form. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Every moment you scatter your attention on things that add no value is a moment stolen from the life you could have built." And yet, most people give their best energy to the trivial. They surrender their mind to gossip, headlines, and digital illusions, while their dreams starve. The tragedy is not that life is too short. The tragedy is that we spend most of it scattered across meaningless noise. Imagine if half of that stolen energy were given back to you. Imagine replacing comparison with action, replacing distraction with discipline. What kind of person would you become if every hour became an investment instead of a loss? This is the compounding effect of focus. Just as money grows when invested wisely, your attention compounds into strength, knowledge, and character when protected. Aristotle declared, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." The same is true of attention. What you choose to focus on daily either builds you or breaks you. But the world does not reward silence and focus. It demands your attention at every turn. Notifications buzz. Advertisements scream. Opinions flood your mind. Each one tries to drag you in 1,000 directions. And if you are not careful, your life becomes a swamp, stagnant and shallow, because your energy is spread too wide. Focus is like a river, contained within banks. It carves valleys and moves mountains. Spread too wide, it evaporates into nothing. The Stoics called guarding your mind a sacred duty. Plato wrote, "The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. That victory begins at the gates of your attention." If you do not rule your focus, someone else will. Social media, marketing, peer pressure, all of it is designed to pull you away from yourself. The battle of this age is not fought with swords. It is fought with attention. And the victors are those who learn to protect it. Distraction is dangerous precisely because it feels harmless. A quick scroll, a short video, a passing moment. But these moments accumulate. They harden into habits. They drain your willpower until you can no longer sit in silence with yourself. They make your mind restless, unable to hold a clear thought. What kind of life can you build if your mind is pulled in 100 directions? None worth living. That is why you must train your focus like a muscle. Each time you resist distraction, you grow stronger. Each time you surrender, you grow weaker. Think of the last time you felt real progress. It was not during distraction. It was during deep work. during silence, during the hours when you poured yourself into something meaningful. That feeling of momentum, of clarity, of being fully alive, comes only from focus. Distraction robs you of that. It numbs you with cheap dopamine while stealing the satisfaction of real progress. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere. If your focus is scattered, you end up present nowhere, accomplishing nothing." That is the truth, and yet the solution is simple. Stand guard at the door of your mind. Notice where your time leaks each day. Write it down. Face it. Directly. Jung reminded us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Distraction is exactly that. An unconscious pattern you repeat until it becomes your destiny. Bring it into the light, and you reclaim your power. Focus is freedom. When you protect your attention, you move with clarity. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand. You stop chasing approval in the noise. You stop wasting energy on arguments that add nothing. You begin to live deliberately, and the world responds in kind. Opportunities appear not because the world changed, but because you finally directed your fire instead of scattering it across ashes. The challenge is constant. Every day, thieves will come knocking again. But each time you deny them, you add another brick to the fortress of focus. Over time, that fortress becomes unshakable. And in that fortress, you discover the freedom the Stoics spoke of. The freedom to live by your own vision, to master yourself, to move with calm strength no matter the chaos outside. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid failure, but failure is not your enemy. Failure is your greatest teacher. It is the fire that tempers steel. Without it, you remain soft, fragile, and untested. With it, you become unyielding. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. What feels like an obstacle today is in truth the path itself. The problem is not failure. The problem is the meaning you attach to it. Two people can face the same rejection. One sees it as proof they should stop. The other sees it as proof they are daring to stretch beyond their limits. One shrinks, the other grows. The difference is not in the event, but in the interpretation. Epictetus taught, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." Fear does not come from failure itself. It comes from the story you tell about it. Culture has taught you to be ashamed of failure, to hide it, to see it as a verdict against your worth. But every philosopher worth reading, every thinker who changed the world, failed often and publicly. They were rejected, dismissed, doubted. The difference is that they refused to let those moments define them. Carl Jung wrote, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Failure is an event, not an identity. It does not define you unless you stop moving. And that is the real danger. Not falling short, but never beginning at all. Every time you hold back out of fear, you build a habit of hesitation. Hesitation becomes the silent killer of potential. You think you are protecting yourself from pain, but you are robbing yourself of the training that creates resilience. Difficulties strengthen the mind, Seneca said, as labor does the body. Avoiding struggle weakens you. Embracing it forges you. Think of failure as resistance. At first it feels heavy, it makes you shake, it threatens to crush you. But each time you lift it, you grow stronger. The very resistance you dread is the force that carves you into someone unbreakable. Just as a blacksmith shapes iron with hammer and flame, life shapes you with failure and fear. Each blow is painful, but each one forges strength. Without the hammer, iron remains useless. Without failure, you remain untested. Fear will never leave you. Waiting for fear to disappear before you act is another form of procrastination. Fear is not a signal to stop. Fear is a compass. It points directly to the place where growth waits. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is persistence with fear still clinging to you. Courage is the refusal to let fear decide your future. Think about your own life. The moments you are proudest of were not easy. They were not comfortable. They were the times you pushed through fear, when you acted despite doubt, when you move forward even when the outcome was uncertain. That pride is proof. It tells you that fear was never the enemy. It was the gatekeeper. And by passing through it, you became stronger. Failure, then, is not a wall. It is the forge. Each rejection, each stumble, each setback is heat and pressure shaping you into someone capable of carrying heavier loads tomorrow. Each time you rise again, you return not as the same person but as someone harder to break. That is the paradox of failure. It looks like defeat, but hides the seed of resilience. It looks like loss, but holds the foundation of wisdom. It looks like pain, but delivers strength. So stop fearing failure. Stop letting it paralyze you. See it for what it is, the raw material of greatness. A person who has never failed has also never tried. A life without failure is a life without growth, and a life without growth is no life at all. The Stoics knew this truth. You cannot control the events, but you can always control your response. And if you choose to see every failure as training, as the building of resilience, then nothing outside of you can defeat you. The forge of failure is where the unshakable self is born. There is a voice inside you that will never be silenced. It whispers at night when the world is quiet. It stirs when you are still. It is the restless voice that asks, "Is this all their island?" That voice is not weakness. It is your compass. It points to the gap between who you are today and who you know you could become if you fully committed. Ignore it, and it turns into frustration. Bury it, and it becomes bitterness. But listen to it, and you discover the fuel to transform. Restlessness is the proof that comfort is a lie. Comfort tells you that ease is safety. Comfort tells you that one more day of delay will not matter. Comfort promises peace, but delivers regret. Because deep down you know the truth. You know that each day of waiting widens the gap between potential and reality. That gap becomes unbearable if left unchecked. It weighs on your chest. It keeps you awake. It gnaws at you in silence. That is not laziness. That is your deeper self, begging for direction. Socrates believed the unexamined life is not worth living. Restlessness is your invitation to examine, to stop drifting, to stop hiding behind distractions, to face the truth that you were not built to remain still. Human beings were designed to build, to create, to grow. When you betray that design, you feel it as unease. When you honor it with action, even small action, the restlessness transforms into momentum. Think about the days when you finish with progress. Maybe you wrote one page, or trained your body, or resisted a distraction. On those nights, you slept with peace. Not because life was perfect, but because you honored that inner voice. Now compare that to the nights when you wasted hours on shallow noise. You felt heavy, unsatisfied, restless. That contrast reveals the truth. Progress, no matter how small, is fuel. Without it, your spirit burns out. With it, you catch fire. Aristotle taught that all human action aims at some good. When your energy is not invested in building toward that higher good, it leaks into lesser things. You become busy but empty. You fill your days, but you do not fill your soul. That is why so many people with full schedules still feel restless. Activity is not progress. Only growth satisfies. Only building yourself quiets the restless voice. Do not mistake restlessness for weakness. It is your call to action. The discomfort is the signal that you are meant for more. It is the alarm that wakes you from the illusion of comfort. When you respond to it, you gain clarity. You remember your vision. You rediscover ambition. But when you drown it out, when you smother it with entertainment or shallow distractions, you trade the possibility of progress for the certainty of regret. That is a trade no wise person makes. And yet comfort whispers louder than truth. Comfort is seductive. It tells you that ease is deserved, that you can put off the work for tomorrow, that restlessness is just something everyone feels. But comfort is not a friend. It is a liar. Its gift is temporary pleasure. Its cost is lasting regret. Every step toward comfort, is a step away from the life you claim to want.
Every step toward purpose is a step toward freedom. The choice repeats every day.
And over time, the choices add up to a life. So listen closely. That restlessness you feel is not your enemy. It is your guide. It is your deeper self reminding you of what matters. It will not go away until you honor it, until you build, until you grow. When you do, something extraordinary happens. Restlessness transforms into momentum, and momentum is the force that carries you further than you thought possible. Inspiration is easy. Anyone can take the first step when excitement is fresh. Persistence is rare. Few keep walking when the road grows long and silent. Yet it is persistence that defines a life. Seneca said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Without persistence, your vision is fragile. With persistence, even storms cannot break you." The truth is that progress often hides. Seeds grow roots long before they break the surface. Your growth is the same. You may not see results for weeks or months, but that does not mean nothing is happening. It means the roots are spreading. It means your character is being forged underground. Many give up not because they lack ability, but because they lack patience. They abandon the process in the quiet seasons when nothing seems to move. But those invisible seasons are where strength is built. Persistence is not glamorous. It is showing up daily when no one notices. It is honoring your promises when motivation fades. It is rising when comfort whispers for you to stop. Comfort lies. Persistence tells the truth. Comfort promises relief but robs you of progress. Persistence demands effort but delivers transformation. Every time you choose persistence, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. That proof compounds into confidence. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Persistence is the act of reclaiming that power. You cannot control the speed of results, but you can control whether you keep going. You cannot control the storms, but you can control whether you stand. That choice, repeated daily, is what separates the unshakable from the average. Think about champions, leaders, thinkers, creators. Their greatness was not born from one grand leap. It was carved from years of persistence. The quiet repetition of discipline, the daily refusal to quit. The world saw their achievements, but not the thousands of days when nothing seemed to change. Those were the days that mattered most. Because persistence is not just about external results. It is about identity. Each time you persist, you cast a vote for the version of yourself who endures. Each time you quit, you cast a vote for the version who retreats. Over time, those votes shape who you are. Do not mistake the silence of progress for the absence of progress. The roots are spreading. The foundation is strengthening. And when the breakthrough comes, it will look sudden to everyone else. But you will know it was persistence all along. Persistence is more powerful than talent, more powerful than luck. It is the force that ensures your vision survives long enough to become real. Comfort tempts you to stop. Doubt tempts you to quit. But persistence whispers one more step, one more try, one more day. And over time, those small, defiant choices stack into something unshakable. That is the power of persistence. The hardest lesson in growth is patience. We live in a world addicted to instant gratification, to quick wins, to visible results. But mastery does not unfold on demand. Growth is not loud. It is silent, invisible, hidden in the roots before it blossoms in the branches. Most people quit not because they lack the ability, but because they cannot endure the silence between effort and reward. They abandon the soil before the seed has a chance to break through. Seneca wrote, "It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. Rough because it feels endless. Rough because progress is rarely visible in the moment. Yet every disciplined act matters. Every small effort compounds in the dark. Like water carving stone, slow, patient, relentless. Trusting the process means believing in the unseen. It means refusing to let doubt become stronger than faith. It means remembering that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Impatience is the enemy. It whispers that nothing is happening, that the work is wasted, that you are not moving fast enough. But impatience is a lie. Progress is not linear. It compounds quietly until one day it erupts. Think of a river. Drop by drop it carves valleys into mountains. No single drop makes the change, but together they transform landscapes. Your efforts work the same way. One page, one workout, one disciplined choice. Alone they seem small. Together they reshape your life. Trusting the process also means trusting yourself. It means knowing that each promise you keep is a deposit into your future. It means accepting that results delayed are not results denied. The roots must grow before the tree can stand. To quit in the silence is to abandon the very foundation of your strength. To persist in the silence is to ensure that when results arrive, they are unshakable. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to throw away. Death stands over you. While it is in your power, be good." Time is precious, but growth still requires patience. The paradox is this: you must act with urgency while trusting results with patience. Urgency in your effort, patience in your expectation. That balance is what separates those who endure from those who drift. The impatient fall away, the patient rise. Trust the unseen. Trust the silence. Trust that your discipline is never wasted. The day will come when the roots break through, when the invisible becomes undeniable. And when it does, you will realize the silence was never empty. It was the forge. There is a prison more invisible than any wall. It is the prison of living for approval. At first, it feels harmless. A pat on the back, a nod of recognition, a sense of belonging. But every time you choose acceptance over authenticity, you trade a piece of your soul for comfort, and comfort never lasts. Opinions shift like sand. One day they praise you, the next they condemn you. If you anchor your worth in their approval, you spend your life building on unstable ground. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject, and yet we allow opinions to bind us like chains. We silence our vision before others even speak. We dilute our dreams to make them acceptable. We abandon our authenticity in the hope of belonging. That trade is deadly, because the more you water down your goals, the less joy you find in them. A dream reshaped for acceptance no longer burns with passion. It becomes hollow, a performance, not a purpose." Plato warned that opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance. Why then would you stake your entire future on the shifting judgments of others? Approval seeking is not respect, it is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of standing alone. But solitude is not emptiness. Solitude is clarity. In solitude you hear your own voice again. In solitude you remember what you truly want. That is why the Stoics and Socrates taught the necessity of turning inward. Because until you hear your own voice, you will always be ruled by others. The tragedy is that most people never see the cost clearly. They trade authenticity for approval until they no longer recognize themselves. They achieve victories that feel empty. They reach milestones that mean nothing because they were never theirs to begin with. The real prize was never acceptance. It was authenticity. It was freedom. It was the strength to live as yourself without apology. Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Your vision was given to you for a reason. It does not need their recognition to be valid. It only needs your loyalty. And loyalty to your vision means protecting it even when no one claps, especially when no one claps, because the applause will fade. but the work remains. The opinions will shift, but the truth endures. Living for approval is a prison. Living for authenticity is freedom. And freedom always requires courage. Courage to be misunderstood. Courage to be doubted. Courage to stand alone if necessary. But solitude builds resilience. Each day you remain faithful to your vision despite the silence of approval. You prove to yourself that your conviction is stronger than their doubt. That kind of resilience cannot be shaken. And in time, the results will speak for themselves. Until then, your task is simple. Stay loyal to the vision, not to the noise. Comfort is a liar. It tells you that rest today will not matter, that one skipped step is harmless, that you can begin tomorrow. But tomorrow never arrives. Each time you choose comfort over purpose, you teach yourself to retreat. And retreats, repeated often enough, become your lifestyle. The tragedy is not that comfort steals one day. The tragedy is that it slowly steals your life. Comfort offers relief in the moment, but regret in the long run. You know this already. You have felt the heaviness of wasted time. You have tasted the bitterness of knowing you could have done more. That is the true cost of comfort. Not the missed opportunity, but the erosion of self-trust. Each time you obey comfort, you break a promise to yourself. And each broken promise weakens your belief in your own word. Over time, you begin to see yourself as unreliable. That is more destructive than any failure. Because when you no longer trust yourself, no amount of external praise can fill the void. The Stoics understood this danger. Epictetus said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Waiting feels safe, comfort feels safe, but safety is an illusion. Life moves with or without you. By clinging to comfort, you are not protecting yourself, you are falling behind. And each day, lost is gone forever. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." The use of life is the use of attention. When you waste attention on ease, you waste life itself. True peace does not come from comfort. True peace comes from alignment, from knowing you did what you said you would do, from living each day with discipline, even when no one noticed. Comfort robs you of that peace. It silences the call of growth for a moment, but leaves the deeper voice of restlessness louder than ever. Comfort promises rest, but delivers regret. Purpose demands effort, but delivers pride. The choice is clear. Every time you resist comfort and choose discipline, you build trust. And trust is priceless. Trust becomes confidence. Confidence becomes resilience. Resilience becomes freedom. This is the chain reaction comfort tries to stop. Do not let it. Push past the lies. Take one more step. Write one more page. Do one more rep. Each small, defiant act against comfort becomes proof that you are unshakable. Comfort will always whisper, but you already know its voice. You already know its lies, and you already know the truth. The life you deserve will never be found in comfort. It waits beyond it. Falling is not failure. Staying down is. Life will knock you down again and again. Plans will collapse, setbacks will come, but each rise is proof that you are not finished. Each comeback makes you stronger, wiser, harder to break. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle you face is not a wall. It is the path itself. Setbacks strip away illusions. They show you where you are weak, where your patience is thin, where your foundation needs work. That clarity is painful, but priceless. Without setbacks, you never see what needs to be built. Without setbacks, you never discover the strength that lies dormant within you. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." The very friction you resist is the force that sharpens you. The mistake most people make is treating a fall as final. They confuse one event with their identity. They tell themselves they failed, so they are a failure. But failure is not identity. Failure is experience. It is information. It is resistance training for the soul. Each time you rise, you prove to yourself that you cannot be defined by one moment. You are defined by persistence. The longer you stay down, the heavier it becomes to rise. Regret builds, doubt multiplies, self-trust weakens. That is why you must rise quickly, even if the steps are small. Each step forward is momentum. Each act of defiance against defeat rebuilds your identity. Aristotle said courage is the first of human qualities because it guarantees the others. Rising after a fall is the purest act of courage because it requires you to face fear, shame, and exhaustion and keep moving anyway. And here lies the paradox. The more you rise, the less frightening failure becomes. What once felt unbearable becomes survivable. What once crushed you becomes manageable. You begin to see setbacks not as proof of weakness, but as proof of engagement, proof that you are in the arena, proof that you are still building. That perspective transforms your relationship with life. You stop fearing storms because you know storms are the training ground. You stop fearing rejection because you know rejection is redirection. You stop fearing failure because you know failure is the forge. Each comeback carries a lesson. Falling teaches humility. Rising teaches courage. Losing teaches vulnerability. Standing again teaches resilience. And with each cycle, you become harder to break. Until one day you look back and realize that the very struggles you thought would end you were the struggles that made you. The world does not reward those who never fall. It rewards those who fall, rise, and keep moving until the results are undeniable. That is the essence of resilience. That is the mark of the unshakable. So when you fall, rise. Rise even if it feels small. Rise even if no one notices. Rise because each rise is proof that your story is not over. And when you rise enough times, you will discover something remarkable. The fall was never the end. It was the beginning of a stronger, wiser, freer you. Listen closely. You have been given only one life, and it is shorter than you think. The world will try to distract you. Comfort will try to seduce you. Doubt will try to silence you. And the opinions of others will try to bind you. But none of them can stop you, unless you hand them your power. The truth is harsh but liberating. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody will hand you permission. The turning point of your life begins the moment you stop waiting and start building. You now know what the Stoics tried to teach. Freedom is not found in the world outside. It is found in mastery of the self. It is found in discipline, in focus, in persistence. It is found in the courage to stand alone, to endure setbacks, to rise again and again until nothing can break you. That is the path. Not the path of ease, not the path of applause, but the path of resilience. And though it is harder, it is the only path that leads to strength, clarity, and peace. Seneca warned us that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. How much of your life have you already wasted waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for validation, waiting for fear to disappear? You already know the answer. Too much. And that should sting. Because that sting is the weight of wasted time. But it can also be the spark of change. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each day, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. If death stood before you this very moment, what would matter? Not the distractions, not the opinions, not the shallow comforts. What would matter is whether you honored the voice inside you, whether you demanded the best of yourself, whether you lived with discipline and courage. Whether you built the life only you could build. That is why the path forward is clear. Stop scattering your attention. Guard your focus. Refuse the lies of comfort. Refuse the prison of approval. Stop waiting for clarity to arrive and begin by moving. Clarity comes from action, not hesitation. Begin now, while you are afraid, while you are uncertain, while you are unready, because readiness is not the start of the journey. Readiness is the reward of persistence. Do not fear failure. Failure is not the end. Failure is the forge. Each stumble is another strike of the hammer shaping you into someone unbreakable. Each rejection is another weight added to the barbell of resilience. Each setback is another opportunity to rise stronger than before. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Your struggles are not curses, they are training. They are the silent proof that you are still alive, still fighting, still building. The greatest danger has never been failure. The greatest danger is distraction. Distraction steals not just your minutes, but your future. It convinces you to waste the most precious currency you own, your focus. To give it away to noise, to comparison, to shallow entertainment. But where your focus goes, your life follows. Guard it as sacred. Invest it into what builds you, not what drains you. And over time, like compound interest, the returns will be extraordinary. Excellence is not an act, it is a habit. You are what you repeatedly do. Each day, you are either building discipline or building weakness. Each decision is either a step toward strength or a step toward regret. There is no neutrality. The life you end up with is the sum of the small choices you make when nobody is watching. And the life you build in silence will one day speak louder than any words. Now think of what will happen if you truly commit. If you resist the lies of comfort. If you cut the chains of approval. If you reclaim your focus. Imagine who you could become. Someone who rises after every fall. Someone who no longer chases validation. Someone who trusts their own word. Someone who can stand alone in silence without fear. Someone who carries an unshakable peace because it was earned through discipline, not borrowed from circumstance. That is who you are meant to be. And when you reach that place, something extraordinary happens. The external rewards will come, but they will no longer define you. Success, money, recognition. They are valuable, but they are not the prize. The real prize is internal. It is the self-trust you built when you kept going in silence. It is the confidence you forged when you endured the storms. It is the peace you discovered when you mastered your own mind. That cannot be taken away. That is the foundation of freedom. But this freedom requires one final choice. You must choose to stop waiting. You must choose to stop hesitating. You must choose to live deliberately, right now. Because the only moment you truly have is today. Tomorrow is a hope. Yesterday is gone. Today is your battlefield. Today is your chance to cast a vote for the person you are becoming. One choice at a time. One step at a time. So stand firm. Stand disciplined. Stand unshakable. When comfort whispers, keep going. When doubt shouts, keep going. When failure strikes, rise again. And when the world tells you to bend, to conform, to explain, remain silent and keep building. Because the only approval you need is your own. The only permission you need is your own. And the only path worth walking is the one you carve with your own hands. This is the Stoic path. The path of focus, persistence, and resilience. The path that transforms you into someone untouchable by distraction, unbroken by failure, and unbound by approval. The path that leads to the life you were meant to live. A life of clarity, strength, and peace. So choose. Not tomorrow, not next year. Choose today. Choose now. Refuse the lies of comfort. Refuse the prison of approval. Refuse the theft of distraction. Commit to yourself with the urgency you once wasted on waiting. Begin building. Begin rising. Begin becoming. Until you are unshakable. Until you are free. Until you can look in the mirror and know without doubt that you became the person you were meant to be. That is the victory. That is the prize. That is the unshakable path.